Hey guys, and welcome to the new episode of Automated Seller Podcast. Today I'm here with Neha, a co-founder of Atom11, which is the end-to-end marketplace management software. Hi Neha, how are you?
Hi, Jacob. I'm very good. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. And it's
Great.
great to have you here. I know that we met how much? I think it's like 6 months ago, 5 months
Yeah,
ago.
six
Like it
months. I
was
think
at
we met at Prosper.
at the Prosper show, and I know that back then it was quite a new venture for you, Atom11. So I would love to hear more actually how is your progress basically with your company. But before that, could you maybe share with the audience like your story? I know that you actually also work with the Amazon, so that would be
Yes.
great to hear more about you first.
Before I get into my introduction, I wanted to first thank you for having me over.
Sure.
Jacob, I have been through some 13 or 14 of your podcasts, to be honest,
Nice.
and I have learned so much. Firstly, just it's just so packed with the best of the people and usable information. So I just feel honored to be here, and thank you so much for calling me on this show.
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's great to hear
Um,
the feedback also because sometimes I'm actually asking myself, hey, are there actually people listening to it or watching it? But yeah, eventually like there are views on YouTube and sometimes there are like 300 views. So yeah, it's great feedback. So thanks a lot. And now
no, absolutely. I think
it's
I think yeah, just usable information is what I would call it. So thank you.
awesome.
You're doing a great job. Awesome. A little bit about myself. So I'm Neha Bhuchar. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Atom11. Atom11, like you said, it's an end-to-end e-commerce management software. Prior to Atom11, I have worked with Amazon for about 6 years. In fact, I was one of the early members of the Amazon advertising team.
Oh, wow.
So I have been working with brands for that long now. And outside of work, I love traveling.
Awesome.
I've traveled to about 33 countries. I have a curious 3-year-old, so love spending time with him. So that's a little bit about me.
That's great. And how was actually work at Amazon? It's something that I found very that is a trend here at the podcast, especially is that usually ex-Amazon people they founded great companies and they
Yes.
actually know so much about Amazon and therefore they can provide like they can build a great agencies and great software companies afterwards. This is unfortunate
Hello.
for us because our story is totally different, although I
I
always tell,
think I
yeah, we
lost
don't
you.
know much about the Amazon itself, like when it comes to like selling on Amazon. We just know a lot about the API since we work so much with that. So that's a different story, but still, like, how was work at Amazon and what it gave you so you could actually start your own venture?
So let me first talk about how is it working at Amazon. Um, I think when you're working with some of the best brains, you learn a lot, and the pace of learning is super super fast. So I think if in one line I were to say was my experience of the 6 years that I worked at Amazon, it was just fast paced learning. And I call it sometimes jokingly I call it a 6-year MBA, because it's you learn so much. Basically, they have these leadership principles, and basically you end up using the same leadership principles in a lot of different situations, so it actually just gets ingrained in you. And once you are beyond the 5-year the mark of being at Amazon, you really start using these leadership principles to the core of everything that you do. So I feel very honored that I work there with some of the best people, learn from them for over 6 years. Coming to why what happened at Amazon that I actually thought of starting at 11. So, like I said, right, I was in the Amazon advertising team when I was at Amazon, and um, during those, during my tenure, I used to visit a lot of seller events. Right now, in one of those seller events, I, I remember specifically. A toy brand actually walked up to me, and his exact words were that I've been increasing my advertising spends on Amazon for the last 6 months, but my sales are constant. They're not moving,
Mhm.
right? And sadly, the frequency of this question, of this very question, has increased over the last few
Mhm.
years. But at that time, what I did was, I was just going through his products, and I was just going through some of his data, and we found that two things. One, the time of delivery of his products. This was about 5 years ago, right? The time of delivery of his products was about 7 days. His
Mhm.
competitors were providing the same product in less than 2 days,
Okay.
right? The second thing that we found was that he was actually, so on her sponsored products, he was actually pushing a lot of his slow moving SKUs in a bid to increase their sales velocity, right? Rookie mistake that we think of at this point, but those two, three things actually told me that increasing sales on Amazon is just so much more than advertising.
Yeah.
It depends on your product quality. It depends on your content quality, your reviews, your ratings, your stocks, your inventory, your pricing, and then all these things for all of your competitors also, right?
Got it.
So can you just imagine what an e-commerce manager is actually going through
Oh
every
yeah.
single hour of being at work? So they say that you have to make about 11 decisions a minute to actually stay ahead of their competitor.
And
So
it's very
that's when
nice
the
actually. Yeah, I just want to say that it's actually very nice that you mentioned it, because there's so many people that just think that, yeah, it's all about putting the right budget into ads and just waiting, but actually it's so much work
yeah,
about all of those factors that
yeah,
not many sellers actually think of.
yeah, absolutely. And I think that's exactly when the seed was sown. I actually came back, looked for a lot of solutions which were there in the market at that time, found that it was very, very verticalized.
Hmm.
Tools then were doing a great job, but I was looking for something more holistic. And that's when I
Hmm.
thought that, what, something like Atom 11 needs to be there, which brings together all of e-commerce and helps brands and sellers make better decisions
Hmm.
for selling on Amazon.
Yeah, so what you're trying to say is that there's a lot of categories of like products that solve just one or two issues at the time, right? There's no one end-to-end solution
Yes,
that really solves it all, and sellers can
absolutely.
just use this. And I know it also from speaking from my side, when we actually build custom solutions, that's also usually a problem. So we've built a lot
Yeah,
of connectors between existing solutions, because there's basically, yeah, just not one solution that fits all of the needs. And I think it's also extremely hard problem to solve.
it is
So
very
I
hard. Yeah.
I had a guest that actually built, like, for example, just a great reprices, right? So they only
Hmm.
solved one issue, but again,
Yeah,
from what I understand, repricing the item, it's not just, it won't just solve the issue. There's
exactly.
much more behind that. So I would love to basically know more about Atom 11, like, because obviously that's what you also mentioned. There's so
Yeah.
many software solutions out there. It's actually crazy. We work with a lot of them. We actually build solutions also from scratch. So it seems like there's a need for it. There's no one. And you decided to actually build basically Atom 11. So if you can say basically about that, like, what really got you there?
Yeah. So are you asking, just for my information, are you asking what exactly are we building, or how are we
Yes,
building?
you if you could say maybe yes, like if you could share more about, like, introduce Atom 11.
Yeah. So at Atom 11, we actually do three things. So, like you said, right, like winning at Amazon, like we were just discussing, winning at Amazon, it actually depends on so many different factors. So,
Yeah.
what we do is we do the framework is about three things. One, we analyze, sorry, we aggregate. Second, we analyze. And third, we automate. So, let me
Mm-hmm.
take you through each one of them. The first one is aggregation, or
Mm-hmm.
aggregating of data. So what we do is we connect with a brand or seller's Seller Central, Vendor Central, their advertising account, and we also scrape the web.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for their competitors, for their own ASINs, so on and so forth. So now we actually have a set of data which is all that a brand needs to make any kind of decision for their sales. So we help brands make more decisions. The second thing, or the second part of the framework, is analysis. Now we add intelligence to this data and start giving actionable insights to a brand.
Mm-hmm.
Because we believe that if you have 500 SKUs, there is no way that you are going through all of this data every
Oh
day,
yeah.
right? Can you just imagine, like, I think we've done some interviews, and we've found that what people do is that they would pick up like 5 or 6 top products, and they would just go through ads data and inventory data about those 5 products on a daily basis, because beyond that is manually, humanly impossible, right?
Yeah,
So
and
what
you
we are
mentioned
saying,
500. We work with sellers with like a couple of thousands of them. So
yeah, imagine imagine that. Exactly. Okay, so I can just feel their pain point.
oh yeah.
And so in these analysis, we actually say that, okay, we will analyze the data and we will give you insights. The third part is automation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are a lot of solutions in the market which do advertising automation, for example, or pricing automation. We are actually thinking slightly beyond that. So at this point, we also give advertising automation, but our vision is to build the Zapier of e-commerce when it comes to automation. So I'll give you an example. So, for example,
Mm-hmm.
if you are low stock, uh, right now, what we would do is that, hey, go to your advertising, pause the SKUs which are low stock, and that's about it. But low stock actually needs a lot many more actions. So what
Mm-hmm.
Zapier would do is, hey, if you have low stock, point number one, pause my ads or reduce my ad budgets. Point number two, inform so and so. Point number three, go to the the ERP, and
Mm-hmm.
the data should be automatically pushed there. Point number four, do I need to increase my prices?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you can actually build those workflows and automate most of the work that you would be panicking and doing, versus actually just being more planned about it
Mm-hmm.
and then setting those workflows up. So that becomes our principal framework, which
Mm-hmm.
is aggregate, analyze, automate, so that we are actually helping brands make more decisions, better decisions because we are giving them insights, and then faster decisions because they are actually able to automate a lot of their tasks. So
Yes, I really like it, especially the last part. It seems very nice and very hard to develop. So,
yes,
at what stage are you right now with the current version of the software? Like,
yeah.
because you mentioned those three sections, and I would love to hear where are you currently.
Yeah. So at this point, we have the entire aggregation piece completed.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of our analytics piece also done. So we are actually launching insights pretty much every week. We
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of those already on the system. Brands are
Yeah.
actually taking advantage of those insights, reducing time
So,
to
so what kind
analyze.
of insights can you, if you could just,
Yeah.
sorry that I'll interrupt. I just
Oh,
like
yeah.
I don't want to lose any piece of information here. So if you could share
Yes.
actually those insights.
Let's talk about it. So, insights, Jacob, are okay. So, let me just first take a second to
Mm-hmm.
tell you why insights are important, right? About 5 years back, Jacob, we did not have Amazon did not give out a lot of data to brands.
Yeah.
So, the problem statement at that time that the softwares at the time were solving was bring whatever data that we can in front of the customer. Now, the problem statement has reversed.
Mm-hmm.
Amazon probably gives you 150 reports. And then on top of it, there are advertising reports. And
Oh
so
yeah.
you have a lot of data. So now the problem is, how do we customize this data and personalize this data to show you exactly what you need, right? So that's why we are solving for insights. Now, there are two types of insights that we have on our platform. And internally, we call it the compass and the alarm clock. So I'll give you an
Mm-hmm.
example. A compass is that you're walking and you need direction. For example, spend more on this product, improve your advertising efficiency here, um, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
The second
I
one
like.
is
Mm-hmm.
an alarm clock. You are living your life, you're happy in your life, and then suddenly an alarm clock needs to go in, which tells you something is low stock, something is out of stock, something is suppressed, something, your competition reduced their pricing, right? These are more of alerts that you
Mm-hmm.
need, so that you can actually come out or snap out of your regular work and actually attend to these ASAP. So these are the
Mm-hmm.
two kinds of insights that we are building. A lot of these are already built out, and we actually talk to our customers fairly regularly and launch those every like 2 or 3 insights every week.
Mm-hmm. So you actually built with the. I mean, I'm quite familiar with building products overall. Although we don't have our own product, we only build products with our partners. But I really like the concept of basically building products with the clients, like with the audience, right? So you actually listen
Yes.
what your client base have to say, and then you launch this feature. I think it's very
Right.
important, and there's so many founders that they do it the other way around. They actually launch product with what they think should be the feature, but actually you always should listen to the actual
Yeah.
customer needs, and I really like it that you
I'll
can
actually
adjust
add
to
to
that.
it. Yeah, I'll actually
Mm-hmm.
add to it. In fact, we don't want to keep adding insights. What we are building in the next level or in the next phase
Mm-hmm.
is that you can launch your own insight.
Okay.
So now in advertising, you can do that, but we are actually launching insights on an overall level. So you can just come and say, hey, tell me when a specific SKU has gathered these many page views, or and still the conversion is less than X%. So it can be actually at that level. So you can come in and set up any kind of
Like you can
insight
create
or.
a rules, you mean?
Yes, yes.
For.
But these rules are not just at the advertising level, is what I'm trying to say. It
Mm-hmm.
is on an overall level on Amazon.
I really like it. It's more like a low code platform, or like something like a Notion, but for
Yeah,
Amazon. And then there's the Zapier. This is crazy,
too much.
like engineering challenge. So that's why I like to ask those questions, because if I would have to create such a solutions from scratch, yeah, this would
Oh, we should
take a
definitely
lot
talk.
of it would take a lot of development time, but I really like the concept of that. So you mentioned that the aggregation part, when you monitor data not only through the API but also through custom scrapers, this is done. I don't know if I can like I mean I will ask the questions, then you tell me if this is like if you can answer that or no. But I really wonder how much of the Amazon did you manage to scrape? Is it like at this point whole Amazon? Because I know, I mean, we've built a lot of scrapers, and I know how much time consuming and resource consuming is that. So I really
Yeah.
wanted to ask this question.
Yeah. So that's a very good question, Jacob. What we do is we do scraping. So we don't do helium 10 kind of scraping, which means that we're not scraping all the time. What we do
Yeah.
is the the brand tells us that I want to track these SKUs or these competitors and these search terms. So
Mm-hmm.
we only do restrictive tracking or scraping, which is important for the brand. For example,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm a brand and I only want to track, let's say, 10 of my competitors, we will do those 10. So we're not looking at the entire subcategory.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Got it. And now for the automation part, because this one is really fascinating for me. So at which point are you right now at your roadmap?
Yeah. So at this point, Jacob, we have 3 kinds of automation available on our platform. One is advertising automation. I mean, I think my love for advertising will never go away. So that has to be there. So advertising automation is one. Point number two
Could
is
you share
digital.
more insights about this one before we jump? Because I
Yes,
have
yes.
also follow-up questions for this one.
Yes. So advertising automation would include things like keyword harvesting,
Mm-hmm.
day parting, rule based automation, reporting
Yes.
automation, things like that.
Mm-hmm. So you can pretty much also manage your ads through the
Yes, you can.
software. And
Absolutely.
here I have one more question, and I think it's very important because that's basically one of the reasons why people go to us and ask for custom solutions is regarding the pricing, specifically on the advertisement management of your ads. How do you set your pricing here? Is it fixed price or is it actually a percentage of the ad spend?
So, because we are not an advertising optimization platform only,
Mm-hmm.
we are looking to price as a fixed price
Mm-hmm.
plus a percentage
Mm-hmm.
of uh, uh, spends.
Of spend. Okay,
So
got it.
the
Got
fixed
it.
price actually brings in the everything other than the advertising part, and then the percentage of
Mm-hmm.
ad spends actually helps us with the uh,
Okay. Got it. So this is the first one. It's the optimization. It is basically the ad management. And now, what are the two others?
Yeah. So the other automations that we already have are digital shelf.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, that we scrape the web and we tell customers when their search ranking is going up, search ranking going down, or digital shelf. We have very interesting automations already. For example, we scrape the web for your top 20% SKUs. We match this data with your inventory,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of times Amazon actually suppresses your asins. So what
Mm-hmm.
we do is that if there is a mismatch, which means that Amazon is showing you currently out of stock or currently unavailable, but you have inventory, we actually turn on the suppressed ASIN alarm,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that helps brands. It's actually in real life, it has actually helped a brand figure out that three of their top SKUs were suppressed, and
Mm-hmm.
they brought it back into the unsuppressed state within 2 days. Um, which if not if it was not for the alarm, they would have found out after 3 days, because there's a lag of 3 days on the inventory data, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and the sales data on vendor central. So those things, they actually help out when it comes to how we are bringing data together and then providing information to the customer, rather than them having to go and check multiple places.
Mm-hmm.
The last kind of automation that we bring is analytics. So like
Mm-hmm.
I said, we bring together all of this data, and we help brands actually go through we tell them when, let's say, sales of a specific asin just dropped into half,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that is the insight from our end, and then people are actually able to look at the entire e-commerce picture in front of them on one dashboard. So that
Mm-hmm.
automation already saves about 10 hours a week for our
Oh yeah,
customers. Yeah.
that's awesome. Perfect. And now I wanted to ask you who would be the software like best to use? Are those sellers? Are those vendors or agencies who are managing sellers and vendors accounts?
Yes. That's a great question. So, mostly our solution is for either a full stack agency,
Mm-hmm.
an agency which is managing full stack for e-commerce, or a brand which is um, managing advertising and other e-commerce operations in-house. And
Mm-hmm.
lastly, for so I think a beautiful use case which has just come out for us is brands using it with agencies. So there is this one solution that brands and agencies are using together,
Mm-hmm.
actually communicating through it. In fact, that use case is becoming like it just came out so beautifully that we are actually thinking of building a like a communication channel within the software, so that people can assign tasks to other people, etc. We,
Yeah.
we may not build it, we may actually take or some kind of a um, integration to do that, because building it might just it's just out of our scope, but
Yeah.
it's something that we are seeing people do already.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the three use cases. The only other thing is that brands who use us, they normally have number of SKUs greater than 25,
Mm-hmm.
because when it comes to a lower number of SKUs, people are usually able to manage it without too many
Yeah,
software.
yeah, yeah, totally. That's for sure. There's always like a minimum entry barrier for customers to enter
Yeah.
like a software. So I agree. And I wanted to ask you also just for some case study right now. Like, I mean, you said that you already have brands using your software, right? So if you could say, actually, I don't know if it's like the hours that you saved or the insights that you provide, like, or the outcome of using the software. I just want to like give our audience some kind of the sense what would be beneficial for them and how.
Yeah. Okay, just give me a second. Um, yeah. So, Jacob, until now, just with the analytics part, people are saving up to 10 hours a week,
Mm-hmm.
uh, instead of, bringing data from multiple sources and then applying a lot of uh, formulas. They're actually able to do everything in one screen.
Oh yeah.
Point number
And I
two,
know that
in
they are
terms.
using Google Sheets a lot for that.
Oh,
So.
that is the worst. So poor, like it's just so sad that you go and talk to someone, and in fact, I would love to cover that. So the sales fluctuations part, right? So we built something called a root cause analyzer, and it was just sad to see how every time a question pops up in front of an agency or in front of a person, let's say who's doing advertising, for example, or who's managing ads or inventory,
Mm-hmm.
they just are digging themselves in a lot of data when this is such a simple problem to solve. And so one, just increasing their productivity by 10 hours a week. Number two, in terms of how they are managing their advertising, we've been able to increase ad efficiencies by about 35-40%, ad sales by up to 60-ish%. So that becomes the automations that we bring on the advertising side. And lastly, I think just the amount of money that, for example, this brand that I was talking about, right, where they used our insights to actually spring into action and recover what would have been lost sales within 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
So that is just another beautiful use case where you're not wasting time. So that's why we call it, helping you find sales opportunities. Um, so that's how, that's the third way that we help
Mm-hmm.
brands increase their sales.
Got it. And now, what's on the roadmap of Atom 11 currently? Like, I mean, you mentioned that automation part, right? But what
Yes.
exactly?
Yeah. The automation that I mentioned, it might actually come in slightly late.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you what is our framework before we decide what our roadmap will be. So, whenever we actually look at what to develop, we look at three parameters. One is what will be the impact on revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Second would be what will be the impact to time saved. And third would be what will be the impact to improve decision making. So
Mm-hmm.
within these three, I can tell you. So, for example, on impact on revenue, we will start working on DSP. On impact on time saved, we will be working on PNL, like bringing in PNL within the analytics, and
Mm-hmm.
also enabling AI on advertising.
Okay.
And the third one, which is impact to decision making, is basically strengthening our recommendation system moving forward. So recommendation system is something that we're really taking it seriously, and the automations on it, like I said, advertising automations are already available. So the automations of it will actually come later. Then, so this is the most, excuse me, immediate roadmap that we're looking at.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And do you support all of the marketplaces around the world?
Yes.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah.
perfect. That's awesome. So tell us, Neha. I mean, first of all, I wanted to actually thank you for this very nice information that you provided us. Also, like it looks like a great software that you are building. I mean, it's definitely worth trying. I think we may even take a look into that, especially for the automation part that you mentioned. This is just giving us so much ideas of what's possible.
Yes.
But I wanted to ask you where people can actually sign up and then start using it.
Absolutely. So there's two ways of reaching out. Either you just go to our website. You can click on sign up and you directly set up time with me.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can hit me up at neha@atom11.co, and I'm always available for a chat.
Awesome. I'll make sure also to put all of the description I mean, sorry, all of the links in the
Information.
description. Yes, exactly. And actually, I have one last question that just popped up to my mind because I'm really curious, and I think this will give a lot of value to people who are listening to us. when it comes to building a SaaS like you have, like a product, and put it live for sellers, was it super tough for you to put your app to public so people can use it? Because I know that this process takes a lot of time with the Amazon, so you have it actually on Amazon App Store.
Sorry, I did not understand the question.
So people can just start using it, right? So they can authenticate with Amazon on behalf of the seller, and so the app is public, because when you develop it initially it's private. You can only attach, I think, up to 10 accounts, and now it obviously
Yes. So
more.
at this very point, we're actually not open to self-serve, which means that
Mm-hmm.
when a customer comes in, they actually go through us. We're pretty
Mm-hmm.
early in that front, but I think we are looking at launching the self-serve version. Um, so I think that might be delayed. So because of course,
Mm-hmm.
with softwares, um, you prioritize some things and you deprioritize some. For us, I think the features and the richness of the data and the recommendations that we bring in, the
Yeah.
automations, those are slightly more important. So we are probably going to take that up, just the
Yeah.
self-serve part of it slightly later.
Okay,
But
so
at this point, everyone comes
clients
to.
authenticate for you first, and I mean it's totally reasonable, and that's why I asked this question, because I know that when you launched a new product, one of the biggest challenges is Amazon itself, and just so they let you put it on the App Store and go through the review. So yeah, that's why I asked, because we have some clients that it takes. I know we have months of fighting with Amazon to just apply, for example, for PII access on the public app. So
Oh
I
yeah.
know it's a tough process, but I just wanted to ask. So
The
awesome.
SP
Yeah.
API work that you are doing, Jacob, is just like I want to bow. It is
Thank you.
not the easiest. Like, I mean, advertising, the APIs are so good, they're well
Oh,
written.
yeah.
You usually don't face issues there, but SP API is something. So it really takes a lot of your energy.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
totally.
yeah.
And then also just the fact that for some apps you have to authenticate to both SP API and the advertisement API.
Yeah.
This is also a huge problem, but yeah, it is how it is, and we have
I
to
hear you.
face it. But yeah, Neha, it was great to have you here. Thanks a lot. And I don't know if you have something to share with the audience, you can feel free to just to do it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if you're coming to Jacob's channel, reach out to us, and maybe I can give you a 2 month free trial for Atom11, and would love to get feedback on the platform there. And secondly,
Awesome.
I think if there was a message that I would like to give to sellers and brands out there today in 2023, um, it will be to really snap out of 2020 and really start looking at e-commerce holistically. I think it's time that we stop working in silos.
Hmm.
So yeah, work holistically on e-commerce. We have a lot of KPI sheets that I can send one to you if you want.
Sure.
But work holistically, optimize your costs, and automate as much as you can.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. And I think it's a great message to all of the
Great,
sellers.
great talking to you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Neha.
Take
Bye
care.
bye.